My dad finally warmed up to you after seeing your pictures. I was nervous about sharing the news with you, but today felt like a quiet triumph in a long journey. You know how my dad is, not harsh or unkind, just hard to impress, especially when it comes to someone I care about. He's always been a man of few words, taking his time to form an opinion. Every time I mentioned you, his face would remain neutral, no reaction, no approval, just a quiet nod. I understood. He'd never met you, only knew what I'd told him. But today, something shifted. We were sitting at home after dinner when I handed him my phone with our photo album open. I asked, "Can I show you something?" He looked curious, and I started scrolling through the pictures, you laughing, smiling, just being yourself. At first, he didn't say anything, just stared quietly. But then, I saw a subtle smile, the kind that means he's feeling something deeper. He asked, "That's her?" I nodded, feeling a lump in my throat. He kept scrolling, taking his time, and then looked up at me with words I'll never forget. "I like her for you." No warning, no lecture, just genuine approval. In that moment, he saw what I saw, not just a face in a photo, but someone who brings me peace and happiness. He didn't need a long story or perfect background, he just needed to see you. That moment told me that sometimes it's not about convincing others with words. Sometimes they just need to feel what you feel. And today, he did. He saw your calm, your beauty, and your presence in those pictures. After that moment with my dad, I couldn't stop thinking about how much it meant to me. His words echoed in my heart all night. "I like her for you." It was the first time he'd ever given me a clear sign of approval, and it felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. That simple phrase, "I like her for you," held immense significance for me. For years, I'd felt like I was tiptoeing around my dad's disapproval whenever I mentioned someone I cared about. He's a man of few words, showing love through subtle actions and advice rather than grand gestures. When he finally expressed his approval, it felt like a weight had been lifted. That evening, I stared at your photo, the same one he'd lingered on. You were smiling, looking sideways at the camera, oblivious to being photographed. It was as if your expression spoke volumes, resonating with my dad in a way words couldn't. The next morning, he surprised me by asking about you, your work, interests, and whereabouts. It was the first time he'd shown genuine curiosity, not just polite interest. I answered his questions with a big smile, feeling hopeful. As the days passed, he started mentioning you more often, not just to me but also to the family. It was strange yet wonderful hearing your name in everyday conversations. Once, he even showed your picture to my aunt, and she messaged me, "She's beautiful." "You're lucky." I smiled, but deep down, I was thrilled that they were finally seeing you the way I did. My mom noticed the change in my dad too. "He seems calmer lately," she said. I think he likes her. Maybe he'd been holding back due to fear of getting hurt again, but now, after seeing you, he seemed at peace. He hasn't met you yet, but he's already making space for you in our lives. He's asking about your preferences, your habits, and wondering if you'd be okay visiting us someday. These small steps mean the world to me. I imagine the day you'll walk through our door, nervous but smiling, and he'll be sitting there, his expression a mix of curiosity and warmth. The day finally arrived, and it was nothing short of magical. It wasn't a grand, planned event, but a quiet Sunday afternoon that felt like a warm hug. My dad was outside, tending to the plants, wearing his old sweater, a subtle sign that he was making an effort. You messaged me earlier, expressing your nervousness, and I reassured you with a smile and a gentle, "Just be yourself." As I waited by the gate, I saw your car pull up, and you stepped out, looking stunning in your simplicity. When our eyes met, that adorable nervous smile of yours appeared, and my heart skipped a beat. We walked towards the house, your hand gently squeezing mine, and I felt a sense of calm wash over me. The door opened, and my dad stood there, quietly observing you. You stood still, holding your breath, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. Then, he stepped aside and said, "Come in, I was just about to make tea." That simple sentence broke the ice, and you smiled, relaxing a little. The conversation started slowly, but you effortlessly drew my dad in with your kindness, respect, and genuine interest. He asked you questions, and you shared stories about your family, work, and favorite food. I sat there, watching the two people I care about most connect in their own way. When he asked if you cooked, you replied, "Yes, but only when I'm not too lazy." He smiled, and it was the first time I'd seen him genuinely grin since my mom passed away. In that moment, I knew something inside him had shifted. He pulled out an old photo album, surprising me, and shared stories of our family's past. You listened intently, laughing at the embarrassing pictures of me. Your presence made the room feel comfortable, and I wasn't even self-conscious about the silly photos. The visit was brief, but it felt like a new beginning. As you got up to leave, my dad said, "Next time, come hungry. We'll cook together." You smiled, nodded, and promised you would. When you stepped outside, your hand reached for mine again, and it was all the confirmation I needed. After that visit, a subtle yet profound shift occurred in our household. It wasn't a dramatic transformation, but rather a series of small, telling moments. My dad would casually ask about you or mention something you'd said, like your fondness for sweet tea or your favorite color, soft pink. These tiny gestures spoke volumes about his growing interest in you. When you visited again, you brought a container of homemade snacks and presented it to him with a smile. He took a bite, nodded, and said, "It's good." That was his way of giving you a high compliment. As we sat around the table, you effortlessly charmed him with your stories and laughter. I watched, mesmerized, as you were yourself, genuine, simple. After dinner, my dad asked me to help him with something outside. As we walked, he shared his thoughts about you. "You know, she's different," he said. "She listens, she respects, and she's genuine. I see how she looks at you, it's honest." He paused, then added, "Your mom would have liked her. She reminds me of her in small ways, calm, kind, and strong inside." In that moment, I felt a deep sense of connection and approval. My dad's words were a testament to his growing affection for you. When we returned inside, you were sitting on the couch, flipping through a book, and my dad chuckled at your gentle teasing. In that instant, you felt like family, not by declaration, but by the warmth and acceptance that filled the room. As I walked you to your car that night, you sensed that something significant had happened. You asked if my dad had talked to me about you, and I shared his words with you. You leaned forward, rested your head on my chest, and stayed there for a while, surrounded by the quiet peace that had grown between us.